Good evening to all of you. It's a pleasure to welcome Dr. Narayan Sharma and all of you to the second talk this evening. Dr. Narayan Sharma is an educationist, conservation biologist, and ecologist with over 2 decades of experience working in education and wildlife research in Northeast India. He's a faculty member in the Department of Environmental Biology and Wildlife Sciences at Cotton University, Guwahati, and an adjunct professor at the National Institute of Advanced Studies in Bengaluru in Karnataka. I should add over here that he was the first head of the Department of Environmental Biology and Wildlife Sciences, a new department which was established at Cotton University. Here, I've seen firsthand that he has been an inspiration to many of his students, many of whom are also very well placed in different organizations, both in the country and abroad. Dr. Sharma obtained his doctoral degree from the National Institute of Advanced Studies and Manipal University. He was a postdoctoral fellow at the Nature Conservation Foundation, and that is one of the leading sort of organizations in nature conservation issues. Dr. Sharma's research interests lie broadly in ecology, conservation biology, primatology, ecological pedagogy, urban ecology, human ecology, and human-wildlife interaction. He incorporates modern developments in the field while teaching young minds to nourish a new brigade of ecologists and wildlife biologists from the northeastern region of India. Dr. Sharma advocates for citizen science and takes the initiative to take ecological and environmental sciences to the general public and popularize it. He's a nominated IUCN Primate Specialist Group South Asia member. He is also a recipient of the Vice Chancellor's Award for Exemplary Service from Cotton College State University, which is now known as Cotton University. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and thank you very much for making the time to talk to us on an area which is close to his heart as well, holistic and multidisciplinary education, but from a very special perspective, an ecological perspective. So thank you, Narayan.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for the generous introduction. And I must say that when I joined Cotton University, I think for the participants, so sir was the Vice Chancellor. And I think I got a lot of support and the much needed inspirations because he was also part of our group. So whenever we used to go for birding, so he's always there. So thank you so much, sir, for giving that platform. I think whoever come out of that university or that department, I think all of us owe you that. And he established the department. So we're the first founder faculties there. So thank you so much for that, sir. And welcome all of you to this session. So I don't know how much justice I'll do for this very, very broad topic called holistic and multidisciplinary education. So I went through some of the text of NEP, and I was very surprised to see most of the things that we have been doing since 2016 is already been there. And so our syllabus that we offer at Cotton University also aligning with the most of the things that we are doing in the Cotton University in the masters as well as the undergraduate program. So the topic is holistic and multidisciplinary education and ecological perspective. So let me start with this slide. This study came in 2023, and it shows a very interesting picture of some of the so-called planetary boundaries that the authors highlighted. So they said that we have already crossed 6 out of these 9 planetary boundaries, and these planetary boundaries were say determined based on the numerous interdisciplinary studies of physical as well as the biological system. And if these boundaries are breached, then the very survival of human being will be at stake. So I think we have already breached 6 of those boundaries. So I'll just quickly take you through this slide. So and the first is the climate change. You can see the carbon dioxide concentrations. I think I don't have to go into detail. So we have already breached 400 parts per million, which is the highest in the last 800,000 years, and since the industrial revolutions. And if you see some of these novel entities, for example, the plastic, DDT, and the other things so which we added to the environment, that has already been crossed the limit. And nitrogen and phosphorus, because these are added indiscriminately in agriculture system, though they have already been at the very high risk zone. As a result, a lot of algal bloom happening in a lot of the water bodies. Fresh water change, they divided it into two parts. One is called the green and the blue. So blue is mostly the aquifers or the groundwater, and the green are also water, fresh water, but they hardly reach to the aquifers. So, but the plants can absorb them. And land system change. As you can see, these are not in the safe zone. They have already crossed the green zone and they enter into the high risk zone. This is mostly because of the conversion of land into some other forms, and mostly deforestation. And one of the most important, that the bar that you can see here is the biodiversity integrity. So we have severely compromised the integrity of biodiversity, and so they divided it into two parts. One is the genetic diversity, and one is the functional diversity. So the genetic diversity is, they say that mostly the extinction of the species. So the extinction rate of the species now is 100 times the background extinction rate. So background extinction rate means the normal extinction rate. So we have already crossed that into the 100 times the background extinction rate. And the functional integrity is also compromised. Functional here is mostly means the primary production. So that has already been compromised. So 3 of these 9 planetary boundaries, like ocean acidification and the atmospheric aerosol loading and the stratospheric ozone depletion. So these are still under the safe zone. So the ozone depletion is mostly, I think, thanks to the Montreal Protocol, where because of that protocol, I think the chemicals that destroy the ozone layer were reduced drastically. So as a result, there is enough time for ozone layer to get hit. So this is the state of the environment, that those out of 9 boundaries, 6 we have already breached, and one of the most severely affected is the biodiversity, or the integrity of the biodiversity. And I do not have to go into detail the vagaries of the climate change. Climate change, actually, one of my colleagues said that I think we should just use the term called climate crisis now. Climate change, I think we have already crossed that limit, and we should straight away start saying it as a climate crisis. So I don't have to go into detail about this, how the climate change is jeopardizing. So in November, I think in my Guwahati city, so earlier we used to put off our fan in October. So now in November first week, and this fan is still running. So it's still hot here. So and our winter has really reduced to just 15 or 20 days now. So the major factor that is causing the biodiversity loss throughout the world is the habitat loss and the fragmentation. So these are two slightly different concepts. So I'm just running this video here. This is from the Brazil, and if you can see, this entire green area is the Amazon forest, and you can see that once there is a building of road, And then there are structures like the fishbone. So from the main road, there are lateral roads or the arterial roads comes, and this is how the entire landscape changed just within, I think, 20 or 30 years. So all the forest is gone, or whatever forest is there has become fragmented. And this has been considered as one of the major conservation issues throughout the world, and Northeast India or India is also no exception here. And all of you know that the conversion of land to some other land use form, for example, here this is the expansion of palm cultivation in. So that, if you can see, the expansion of palm came at the expense of the tropical rainforest. So this is the major cause of deforestation in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and Malaysia. And as a result, numerous species are being now threatened with the extinctions. Shifting cultivation, though many people say that this is the best form of agriculture, particularly in the hilly regions, but shifting cultivation has also contributed loss of many forested areas or habitats of numerous species. And one of the very important conservation issues that I wanted to highlight here is the spread of the invasive alien species. Though we hardly talk about this important issue, but this is becoming a major conservation issue throughout the world. Okay, so most of these invasive species are not native to our country. So, for example, if you see here, this is this is the locally we call the Metica here. It's a Icornia species, and you can see that that species is completely clogging the entire water body. So there are hardly any open area here, and as a result, there are many bird species or open bird species which used to come here. They hardly find any place to go there. And as a result, the dissolved oxygens and the characteristic of the water bodies are changing throughout the world. And this particular species was introduced in India accidentally. So the Lady Hastings she brought it as an ornamental flower. So from her place, so this species escaped, and now I think rest is a history. So this is completely clogging numerous water bodies throughout India, and also from the northeast. So just to give you an example how the invasive species can be potential threat to biodiversity. So there is this brown tree snake which was introduced in the Guam Island in 1960. So there was military base of America there in that island, and out of 12 bird species which are found in that island, 10 species were vanished. At one point of time, in 1 square kilometer of area, there were around 4,000 brown tree snakes were there. So because they have to compete with each other, and they have completely wiped out these 12 bird species from the island. And 2 out of 3 Guam's native bat species become locally extinct. So this is the extent of damage that the invasive species can cause. So one of the hypotheses is that these species proliferate. They become a very successful invader because there are no natural enemies, and there are certain characteristics that many of these invasive species should have, because not all introduced species are invasive species, but all invasive species are introduced species. So that's the distinction between the introduced and the invasive alien species. And as a result of disappearance of these bird species, which are very important seed dispersers, so they disperse seed of many trees. So the seed dispersal, the entire mutualistic interactions, so become effective. So as a result, the germination or the dispersal of the species, plant species, were also jeopardized. So I think all of you know about the dodo bird of Mauritius. So once the dodo bird become extinct, so there was one particular tree species called Calvaria major, so which used to rely on dodo. So unless the seed goes through the gut and the outer coat is dissolved by the gut chemicals, so it will not germinate. So as a result, when the dodo bird got extinct, the tree also stopped regenerating. So though you may find some very old trees, but there are no new saplings or seedlings of that tree. So that this is the extent of damage that invasive species can cause to the biodiversity. And all of us know that mostly taught it is the clean energy. The dams can also cause a lot of environmental damage. So in fact, dams can also submerge a large part of the upstream areas, which are very important wildlife habitat, and downstream, I think it also affect the migration of many fish species. So these are the locations of 38,000 dams across the planet. So you can see most of these are located in USA, and if you can see South America also, there are numerous dots, and India mostly in the Himalayan region. I'll come back to this in the next section when I talk about the conservation issues of northeastern India. And these are the figures. If you can see, there is a population of the migratory freshwater bird has plunged since 1970s. And thanks to the dams, because most of the fishes, they need to go to ocean and come back for the spawning. So they need uninterrupted water flows. So when you dam a particular river, so their migration become very like severely curtailed. So there is one. These are the big dams. So now people also say that let's not go for the big dams and let's go for the small dams. So small dams are those dams which are which produce less than 25 megawatt of electricity. So instead of creating one big dam, so and also to bypass many environmental regulations, so they started building, say, 4 dams of, say, 25 megawatt, so totaling about 100 megawatt. So by doing that, they actually bypass many environmental regulations that are needed for this. But if you compare this, because now in the big dam there is only one, once the dam is dammed, but here the river is broken into many segments, so which is still more dangerous. So one of the leading cause of wildlife death in throughout the world that is hardly spoken is the linear infrastructure, mostly the roads, railway line, power line, transmission line, irrigation canals, right? So this cause not only the fragmentation of the habitat, but many species get killed while crossing either the road or the railway line. So here you can see this python, which is quite a big animal, got killed in one of my field sites in given wildlife sanctuary. And then this is another very gory picture of a primate. So what happened when I was working on the primates? So I used to go to forest. So in the morning I saw this troop happily foraging on ground. While coming back, so it was almost late night. So I hit something, and when I saw this chap was there, and because he was not able to cross the railway track and hit by a train and died. So in fact, there are many such instances. Researcher has worked in Kaziranga National Park also. So it's one of the a very famous wildlife area, and they found that not only the slow moving species, even the fast moving species are also getting killed. There are instances where elephants are mowed down by the railways. There are instances where leopards, where tigers were also being killed by the speeding train and the vehicles. So these are some of the conservation issues that I thought I'll discuss. Now I'll go specifically to the conservation issues of Northeast India, where the area that is I'm very familiar with, and so all of you know that India has this 4 biodiversity hotspot out of 36 global biodiversity hotspot, and they are Western Ghat in south, and Himalayas and the Indo-Burma in Northeast India, and the Sundaland. I think Sundaland, the part of Andaman Nicobar. So mostly the Nicobar Islands are part of this Sundaland. So there are these 4 biodiversity hotspot areas. So the criteria of choosing this biodiversity area are 2. First is that it should have at least 1,500 endemic tree species. So the tree species which are found nowhere else. For example, there were 1,500 endemic tree species which are found in Western Ghat and Sri Lanka. And similarly in Himalaya, similarly in Indo-Burma. And if you can see that the Papua New Guinea is not the biodiversity hotspot. Okay, so I'll come to that little later. So why Papua New Guinea is not the biodiversity hotspot? Because even if its forest is around 70% forest cover and more than 1,500 endemic species, is the second criteria. So second criteria should be that only the 30% original habitat should remain there. Okay, so in all of this biodiversity hotspot area, so the 70% original forest were already being lost. So this is both a good news, like when you say about the biodiversity, because it has 1,500 endemic tree species, but also the bad news because we have already lost 70% of the habitat. So those were the 2 criteria based on this global biodiversity are designated. We have, as I told you, in Northeast India we have 2. One is the Himalaya, and then next is the Indo-Burma. And one very interesting aspect about Northeast India is that it's still a biological frontier. So people are still finding new species. So as big as this white-cheeked macaque. Okay, so this macaque is very new to science, and recently the scientist has discovered this species and named this species as the white-cheeked macaque. The other range where it is found is in China. And my supervisor, Dr. Anindya Sinha, and his team, they found this another interesting monkey called the macaca munjala, so or Arunachal macaque. So this species is also new to science. So new to science, but not new to the local people, by the way. So I'll put it in that way. So local people knew about these monkeys, but not the scientists. So the scientists, when they analyzed, compared this species with other macaques, they found that very different characteristics. And so this is another interesting area where in India, the Northeast is very rich in bird diversity. So this particular species called the Bugun leochikla, it is discovered in a wildlife sanctuary called Eagle Nest Wildlife Sanctuary, which is in Arunachal Pradesh. The interesting thing about it is that the number of this species, the individuals of this species, is extremely low. I think less than close to 100 individuals now. And but what happened once this species was discovered, a lot of people started coming, a lot of tourists or a lot of people who are very say hardcore bird watchers from India, from abroad. And now there is a very good model of ecotourism which was established by uh, Professor Raman Atreya of IISER Pune and his team. So this bird has actually given a lot of impetus to conserve the forest. So the local community called the Bugul, who are the local community. So the bird name after them. These people are now protecting the habitat of this and protecting the bird species here. So not only birds, the entire family of families are the little bit in the hierarchy. It's a little bit above. So entire family of limbless amphibian are also found from the northeast India. And these areas are also very rich in endemism. For example, endemism means the species which are found only in a certain area, but which are not found elsewhere. For example, this small pig or small hog are called it's a pygmy hog. Okay, so this pygmy hog or Porcula selvenia is found only in northeast India and only in one protected area. Originally, now they are being translocated in other parts also. So when it was discovered, less than 100 individuals were there. Okay, and I'll talk about how successfully these species were being captive breed, and now their population has gone little bit more than 300 individuals. And very interestingly, there is this pygmy hog sucking louse, which is a very specialist louse. So it will found only in the pygmy hog. Along with the pygmy hog, this species is also very endemic, and this species is also say equally critically endangered. So that also shows that there is a lot of mutualism. So one species will go extinct, then the other species will automatically go extinct. And if you are aware that some of these birds, if you are in Guwahati, you may see them. So you will see them not in the protected areas, but in the garbage dump. So there are less than 1,200 individuals left in the wild. And sometime if you go to the garbage dump, which is located little bit close to a protected area called Deeporville Wildlife Sanctuary, so you will see perhaps the half global population of this species in one place. So this is called the Edgerton stock, greater Edgerton stock. The number is dwindling, so 1,200, perhaps less than that. And this is also another plant species which is very endemic. So this is the tropical picture plant. This is found only in Meghalaya and parts of area which bordering Meghalaya and Assam, in particular in Karbi Anglong area. So now that's their global range. So this is found nowhere else in the world. You may wonder why this extraordinary biodiversity. So the reason is that these are the confluence of two biogeographical realms. So for example, the Sino-Japanese and the Oriental. So this is the confluence of these two biogeographical realms, and there are a lot of different kind of habitats which are found here. So right from the sea level, you can have the habitat up to say Himalayas. Okay, so we also have Himalayas, and we also have areas which are perhaps some of the areas are below the sea level. Yeah, so we have this range of altitudinal range and different kind of habitat, different kind of forest, different kind of say microhabitat that facilitate the huge number of species. And also there is an admixture of species. There are many species which are Indian mainland origin. There are many species which are coming from, say, Southeast Asia, and there are many species which are coming from the Tibet. So there's a mixture of three kind of species here. And it's with other part of the world, Northeast India is also, the habitat is lost and fragmented, and most of this, if you go to hill areas, so due to the shifting cultivation, most of the areas are being lost. And if you are in the plain, in particular in Upper Assam, you may see a lot of tea cultivation, so which came at the expense of the original tropical rainforest, lowland tropical rainforest areas. And this is the map of Arunachal. Arunachal is also called the powerhouse of India. So it's huge hydroelectric potential, and these are the rivers which are there, and the location of proposed or ongoing dams in Arunachal Pradesh. And if you have a closer look at this image, so you'll see that almost all the rivers are either being dammed or they are going to be dammed in the future. And one of the very emerging threat to biodiversity is the oil palm plantation. Okay, so there is a recently the Prime Minister of India, he has actually earmarked around 11,000 crores outlay for promoting oil palm in this very biodiversity sensitive area, not only in Northeast India but also in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So the palm grows very well in the area where there are a lot of biodiversity, a lot of rainfall. So and they need. So there are estimates that they need at least 250 liter water per day per plant. So if these are being planted in many of these areas, so you can think about the consequences. And this comes after the clearing of the forested areas. And these are the shifting cultivation, and so compared to the palm and the shifting cultivation, I think the shifting cultivations people have done studies, and they found that still shifting cultivation is still better than the palm cultivation, because the biodiversity, particularly in the birds, in shifting cultivations are much more in number than the palm cultivation. So if you see under the palm, nothing grows. Only some of the invasive species will grow, and the shifting cultivation, once it is cleared and it is leave for say 5 years or 10 years, the vegetation will grow again, and that vegetation will support a lot of biodiversity. So scientists are saying that compared to the palm cultivation, the shifting cultivation is still better. And the good thing about shifting cultivation is that there are around 38 crops that you can plant in one go, and you can have this for throughout the year. Yeah? There are certain crops that you can derive throughout the year, and also because the bamboo is a very important commodity in this part of the world. So immediately after this area, the shifting cultivation area is abandoned. After some year, the bamboo comes, and people can use bamboo for many other purposes. Hunting is a big threat to Northeast India. So here you can see people are killing the hornbill. Hornbill is a very big bird here. So they disperse. They are very good dispersal of large seeded fruits, and people kill them not only for say meat, but also some of the hornbills they kill them for the cask. Okay? And so I think it's just a very important conservation issues, and which is a lot of social economic complications. So whether hunting is bad or good, I think there are the scientific community is divided here, because people in some of the areas, people have a completely regulated hunting. They know when to hunt, how many individuals they need to hunt. But in some other areas, they have completely wiped out. So because the advent of the new weapons or the guns. The poaching, on the other hand, is a huge threat, particularly to rhino. I think all of you know they killed rhino, and then they take out the horn. Okay. Horn is nothing but it's just the hair, but it has a huge international market, and just for the horn, there's a very organized poaching in Kaziranga and other areas. So this particular species is threatened because of the poaching. And not only rhino, but there are now many fish species which are very endemic to like Northeast India, but has huge ornamental values. These are being smuggled and sent it to Hong Kong and some other parts of the Southeast Asia. And this human-wildlife interactions, I think all of you know, it's a huge challenge in Northeast India. So you can see this huge herd of elephants. They raid crops during the harvest time, and as a result, both humans and elephants are killed. So the elephants also kill human, then human also retaliate and kill elephants. And this is going to be a very important conservation issues, because they have to come out of the forest, because forests are being degraded, so it's not able to support the feeding food needs for these species. And mining is another very important conservation issues. So if you go to Upper Assam, and a lot of areas where there are mining are also very important wildlife areas. For example, in Upper Assam, the areas where the coal is being extracted is a very important elephant bearing areas. So once you do mining in those areas, so these areas become very polluted, and elephants or other species, they will not be able to use those areas. So is the future of biodiversity so bleak in Northeast India, or is there still hope? So I'll just briefly talk about some of the success stories of biodiversity here. So one of the remarkable success story is the recovery of rhinos in Kaziranga. So I think from 200 individuals of rhino in the beginning of the century, earlier 1900, then they were accorded huge protection, and now the current population of rhino in Kaziranga National Park is around 2,600 individuals. So that is quite remarkable. This is the in situ conservation. So they didn't bring this rhino out and did the captive breeding. They actually protect their habitat, protect the poaching, but still the poaching was a huge threat. But still the population bounced back, and now we have 2,600 individuals, more than 2,600 individuals of rhino in Kaziranga National Park. And in fact, the good success stories are is that the one-horned rhinoceros was endangered species earlier, but now they are the vulnerable species. So vulnerable means not imminent threat of going extinction, whereas the endangered means they are imminent threat of extinction. So this is one of the conservation success stories, and this happened because of the huge protection. So very strong protection to the park. And as I told you that people, particularly in Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh, they kill hornbill for the cast. And then what happened, there are my colleague from Nature Conservation Foundation, they started converting these hunters to protectors. So now all of the people from that area, they come together and they said, now we'll protect the hornbill. So, and they started something called the nest adoption program. So it's a very interesting thing about hornbill is that they nest in the tree hole. The female will go inside, and then she will close the hole. Okay, and she will come only after the hatching of the chick. During that time, the male bird will go and feed the female. So if the male is somehow killed, the female and the chick will also die inside. And if you cut the tree, the female will die and the chick will also die. So because that area, there are a lot of tree felling also. So the NCF, they started, the Nature Conservation Foundation, they started something like the hornbill nest adoption program, and where people contributed money so that they can protect this nest. And with the help of the local people. And this is another one of the very, very success story of Pygmy Hog Reintroduction Program, and it was implemented by Ecosystem India and currently another organization called ARENNEC. So right from they found that this pygmy hog is extremely rare, so almost it is on the brink of extinction. And then they thought that instead of in situ conservation, where you protect a species in their natural habitat, so but this is not going to help the species, because there you need human intervention. So that's why they captured 6 individuals from Manas National Park, and then they captive breed outside. So this is near Guwahati. This is the facility near Guwahati where they started captive breed this population. So now what happened after 30 years now? So they actually successfully captive breed around 300 individuals, and not only captive breed, but also now they reintroduce this pygmy hog in different protected areas where this species was earlier found. Okay. So this is one very, very important success stories. But when you talk about these success stories with these people who worked in this project, you'll see that there's a lot of thing that needs to be done. So it's always better not to allow species to go beyond the critical number, okay, because otherwise it's extremely difficult for them to revive. And this is another remarkable story about the Amur falcon. So Amur falcon is a bird of prey. It comes, you can see the route, okay. It starts from somewhere from China, and then it stops at Nagaland and Manipur and some part of Assam now. And there it's kind of a refueling place. And after spending some time, it then goes to South Africa for the winter. Okay. So during that time, so in Nagaland, so there is a lot of killing happened. So in fact, in 2012, they estimated that there are more than 14,000 Amur falcon were killed. So, and that in fact, there are 2 people who actually highlighted this important issue, Sasank Dalvi and the Ramki, and they in fact wrote a letter to Science, and it got international attention. And as a result, they started sensitizing the community, they sensitizing the political leaders, community leaders, and as a result of their, particularly Banu Harulu and Ramki and the Sasank Dalvi, that their team. So now there's not a single instance of killing. Now, in fact, they protect this species in Pangti Valley of Nagaland. So this is one very important story where if you work with the community, if you really sensitize them with the right amount of say informations and giving them some of the opportunities, I think the communities will be able to protect these species. And in fact, all these conservation success stories we found, the community is actually the key player, because the local communities, if you really need to conserve the biodiversity of this region, I think we need to really target the local communities, because without the help of local communities, it's very, very difficult to say conserve the biodiversity. So you must have heard about the forest man of Assam, Jadab Payam. So he has actually established, or he has actually restored the entire forest in some of the Chor areas near Jorhat. But this is the story is not from the Assam. This is from the Annamalai. It's ecological restoration. As you see, that's a lot of forested areas were cleared for the expansion of the tea plantation, and there were many degraded forests were there. And two of my colleagues from Nature Conservation Foundation, they actually worked with the tea states, the owner of the tea states, and who allowed them to restore some of their areas, and they created a nursery of the local plants, and after the plants attain a certain height, they planted those in those degraded areas. So these are some of the pictures you can see. This is before 2007 and present 2021. The entire fragment, like degraded forest, is revived now. So this is very, very scientifically done. It's not the plantation that is being promoted. So tree plantation. These are very, very thoroughly done. The species are selected very judiciously, and all these species are from the local areas, and they maintain that it's not the tree that will grow, but they said that ecological restoration is also mean restoring the ecological processes. For example, if there are birds which are coming and it started eating the fruits and dispersing those fruits, so that is the say benchmark of, say, or the success of the ecological restoration. And if you see, these are the naturally regenerating site versus the actively restored site. You can see that's the differences there. Okay. And in some parts, sometime I think it's just the protection that is needed. But in the some of the degraded habitats where there are a lot of invasive species, we need to go and do some of the active restoration. So that's there are two things called the passive restoration, that allow nature to take its course. But because we have degraded our forest or our habitat in such a way that I think the intervention is extremely needed there. So in most of these habitats are like that. So I'll talk briefly about the citizen science, because this is one very important say emerging area where how citizen science can be a very important ally of conservation. Okay, all the citizens. So the citizen science means general public engagement in scientific research activity, when citizens actively contribute to science, either with their intellectual effort or surrounding knowledge, or with their tools and resources. So in the growth of citizen science is mostly because science is a profession, but it is also a hobby for many people. And then that is stereotype about science and scientists. This citizen science debunk that thing, and this is the citizen science changes science in a fundamental way by making it a collaborative between professional scientists and the public. So now the science is not within the boundary of, say, laboratory or some very high equipment areas, but now we can collaborate with the common people, with the amateurs, to collect data. So making science visible and accessible, and the limit of scientists and power of collaboration, the age of big data. So we cannot go to each and every place and collect data, but we can collaborate with people and get the data. And this is a shift from science for the people to science by the people. So this one citizen science projects where I was involved, the Assam Biodiversity Portal. So this portal actually collect information or allow the user to record their observation. So such one person was Vijay Ismail, Dr. Vijay Ismail, who was actually a doctor by profession, but he contributed immensely to the observation. So he was the director of Makunda Christian Hospitals. I had a privilege to go and visit that hospital recently, and I was very, very surprised to see because of his effort, the forest, nearby forest of that hospital is being conserved only because he was able to document the entire biodiversity of that area and put it in the website. So he's the leading the contributor of say natural observations in Assam Biodiversity Portal. And you must have heard about this interesting story about the cherry blossoming in Japan. So in the Japan, the court diarist used to record the emergence when the cherry used to blossom, the first day. Okay, so they have a data for almost 1200 years from the 800. You can see when the cherry used to blossom, and there's a lot of variation in the data. But at the later part from the 1800, you'll see that the cherries are blossoming little bit earlier than that used to be, say, the previous years. So this indicates perhaps there is a this early blossoming of cherries is perhaps an indication of the climate change. So because climate change, we need data, long-term data. And this kind of citizen science data actually helps a lot. And citizen science data not only help about the climate change, but also all these dots. So these are the another very important portal called eBird. All these dots are one species. So there are 118 dots, and these dots, as you see, they are moving from the South America to the North America and coming back. So this is the migration of this species, and if you see there, the date is changing, right? So this shows this is not the it's not like they tagged these birds with some GPS device, but these are the data that are collected by the citizens. So, for example, if somebody is in say Florida, he or she will record the data. And somebody is in Chile, so they will also record the data. So arrival and departure. Okay? So that kind of data actually helping the lot of understanding the migration pattern of the birds. So in India, we have recently released this report called States of India's Birds 2023. The highlight of this report is that almost 942 Indian birds were assessed for conservation priority. This was possible only because of the contribution of 30,000 plus bird watchers, and they've contributed around 30 million observation. So that allows to analyze the trend and distribution of species. So what do you think about the status of house sparrow? So this is, there are some people who are saying that the house sparrow are declining very rapidly, and some are saying that they are doing good, or somebody will say that they are going up. But actually, they are more or less stable. Though there is a declining trend there, but overall, I think they are doing pretty okay, the house sparrows. And if I ask you what is the status of, and this is possible only because of the contribution of the citizen scientists. And what do you think about the status of Indian peafowl? So it's very strangely, this bird is increasing. So in fact, if you are from Kerala, some of the areas where this bird was not found earlier, so now this bird is actually extend, the range is being extend to those areas as well. So let me come to the Cotton University and what are the things that we are doing. The Cotton University, earlier it used to call Cotton College, and then there is the Cotton College State University, under which the Cotton College was the constituent college. The first Vice Chancellor of Cotton College State University is there, our host, Professor Jyoti. And in 2017, the Cotton College and Cotton College State University, they are merged and become the Cotton University. So it is a huge legacy. So it was established in 1901. And there are many illustrious alumni from that university. So this department was established, I think, with a vision primarily to understand the wildlife and the environmental issues of northeastern India. So because I think Sir has this vision that somebody from other region may not be able to comprehend or may not be able to contribute significantly to the this region's problem. So we need to nurture the local students, nurture the local local people here, so that it become more sustainable in that way. And this is me with my students. So we started this course. We called it Environmental and Wildlife Sciences. So that course, I think the lot of inputs from the experts throughout the country, plus abroad, we send our course material. And in a true sense, this is a very, very multidisciplinary course. So here, student learn about the basic, right from the basic mathematics to wildlife sciences, to statistics, to quantitative ecology, to political ecology, human ecology. So you name it, and this course offer those things. So though we have 4 faculties right now with a very limited specializations, but we have a host of guest faculties with different specialization. They come and they teach. In a way, like we hope in some historians, we hope in archaeologists, we hope in some political scientists. So this course offer all of them, because we believe that the conservation science is a multidisciplinary problem, and it needs a multidisciplinary treatment also. And plus, since this Northeast India has a very, very unique problems, we need a unique solutions that should emerge from this region only. And with this, the conservation science and the conservation biology, these are the two, the founding principles on which we work. And if you see the conservation science, it has almost, it is a very, very important subject that is in a truly multidisciplinary. So for example, we have to study the economics also. So our course also have this human economics, agriculture, anthropology, communications, because we give a lot of emphasis on science communications, and most of our students are writing regularly in reputed journals and popular medium, and also in the vernacular language, so which is very, very important, because we need to communicate science to the local people. There is a psychology, there is a sociology component in our course. There is a philanthropy. So I think we are not in that stage 8, but we regularly offer our services to various colleges whenever they ask for any course, or they ask for any help with teaching some of the modules. Sustainable development, ethics, public policies, because we are actively engaging with the government in refining some of the policies or designing some of the policies here in the forest department. And climate science. So together, this is the say the backbone of our course. But what we also give emphasis is mostly on the experiential and immersive learning. So most of the time you'll see our students going to the field and actually experiencing things. It's not like the classroom, not always the classroom teaching. So if there are 5 days of classroom teaching, so one day we will go out, we will experience something. So if there are how to identify a plant, how to identify birds, how to identify spiders, or how to identify the problems of certain areas, conservation problems. So our students are going and experiencing this thing. So one of the very important things that happened after the introduction of this course in the department is that now slowly people are even from the other discipline have started appreciating the interdisciplinary nature of the course. And the ultimate goal of this course is like just like the physics or chemistry, we wanted to mainstream this particular course in the cotton curriculum. And this is one such initiative where we encourage students from or faculties or the general public to come and count the birds in the campus. Here you can see one of the founder of say cotton campus bird count, and we started this bird count since 2016. Okay, and you'll be very surprised to know that we have so far we have to make a list of not only the list of the species but also their abundance, and we put this poster in a very prominent place in Cotton University. So this is the result of 8 years of work. So in 8 years we have found close to 60 bird species in the Cotton University campus. So so we made this poster and we put it in a very, and people are now aware that in such a highly urbanized area, we still have so much biodiversity there. And now the authorities are also saying that let's do this landscaping, or please suggest what kind of trees we should plant in the campuses. So I think that's a very, very positive sign that happened because of this say 8 years of bird monitoring in Cotton University. So I just wanted to show you this small clip. So you'll be surprised to know that this particular paper, sir, they have used our data to to derive this. So they collected data from, and the good thing about this campus bird count is that all data is privately available. So anybody can access those data and they can say write papers like this. So we say that almost more than half of Indian bird species are in academic campuses in the world, in India. So these are some of the contribution of our work to academic things as well. And apart from that, we are also we have also designed some of the education material. For example, I called it the rewilding the mind and the soul of the local people. So most of the time, what happened, we have our say alphabet books where we can see hippopotamus or giraffe or things like that, which our kids will never see, or they will go, unless they will grow up or go to some exotic area, they can see it, or in the zoo they can see it. But why not design say alphabet book with the local species? So this is one such initiative that we did, and all these are drawing by my students. So extremely talented these kids are. So they draw all this. So it's a very, very democratic process. We choose because in one say from the edge there could be many species which are found, like speed hare or say bullock gibbon or something like that. So then we voted it. So then we argue with the students, so what to put it, and ultimately we come out with the final list, and they made these posters. And so now these posters are available. So these are in English right now, but we are also planning to design similar posters in the vernacular language like Assamese and Bodo also, and distributed in the different areas. So, and we are also planning to, if we can do this as a part of the education system. So I already spoke to the SCRT, and they are very impressed with this work. Perhaps they might ask us to design some of the education material that could have a pan Assam distribution, so in the future. And we are this year aligning with the national education policies. So we are also offering a course called the Learning with Nature, Understanding Our Environment. So this course is a evaluated course, and I'm offering this course. So where we will take students, so there will be both classroom as well as the outside the classroom activities. So this is mostly the experiential thing. So people will go, student will go experience the nature. They will identify the bird. They will identify the tree species. So it's more like experiential learning. So this is the new value-added course. Where around 75 students have enrolled for this course, and this will start from mid-November. So I came with this interesting paper recently. So it says that the nature of science, the fundamental role of natural history in ecology, evolution, conservation, and education. So most of the things that we do comes under the natural history thing, but natural history is being really ignored. Okay, in many curriculum, the fieldwork component has been removed, or students are not encouraged to go to the field. But fortunately, in Cotton University, we still have that support from the administration because they saw the importance of this courses, this kind of topics in shaping individual in a holistic manner. So we always talk about the holistic education. So where we appreciate nature, we become more empathetic. There are a lot of humanitarian values that comes into picture. So our course actually has that kind of thing. So developing empathy, developing compassion about living organisms, and the compassion for human. So those things are also ingrained in our courses. So perhaps that's why they're quite supportive of this kind of activities. And this is the suggestion in this paper for particularly for the administrations and the head of the department, head of the institutions, teachers. So they said that they need to support and encourage natural history research within your institution and department, because in many institutions in US and other areas, the natural history is generally considered, say, inferior than, say, other very cutting edge subjects like biotechnology or, say, stem cell research kind of thing. So, but this paper said that without the understanding of the natural history, it's extremely difficult to understand ecology, evolution, conservation. So, natural history is the foundation on which all these subjects actually flourish. And seek out or hire researcher with natural history experience and expertise. Perhaps I'm the beneficiary of this. Perhaps the vision of our Sekia sir. Perhaps I have a little bit inclination toward natural history. Perhaps so we encourage people like me, and make natural history a required component of undergraduate curriculum. So this already we have started. So that's undergraduate course, value addition. So where they will learn about the nature and their surroundings. And encourage natural history focused public engagement. So this is very important. So and I'm very glad to tell you that this time for the NAC assessment, so we have actually forwarded our biodiversity course as one of the best practices. So this is going to be a very important, very responsibility kind of a job for us also. So Does all this have any actually effect? Actually, it does. So this is the girl who actually, if you, Durva, if you remember, she came in our first, I think, or second bird watching, this one, and she wrote this very interesting thing after after the bird watching session. She said a typical phase of anxiety and depression comes to most of the Indian students' life exactly after class 12, whether medical or engineering. If you are interested in none, you are in serious trouble, as I was. Obviously, as I was not interested, I could not clear any of them and had to drop a year after class 12. Due to the pressure from everybody, I got so depressed that I secluded myself from everyone except my family. And that's the period when I start birding. So I started bird watching just to spend some time with nature and to keep myself engaged with something. And slowly, without my knowledge, it became a hobby for me. The way bird helped me to take care of my mental health is unexplainable. When you spot a bird and being able to identify it, the joy you feel is priceless. I spent a whole year by keeping birding as my only friend and finally overcome that phase of loneliness and depression to go ahead in my life with a new hobby. So this is how uh, so when we keep talking about the transformative education, I think for me this is the transformative education. So completely a student who is depressed, just by going through nature observation, she now uh, is successfully completed masters from a very reputed institution, Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, and now she is in Africa chasing miracles. So this is a remarkable story. It's how bird watching can change people's life. And I think some of you know about this book. So by a very famous writer, Richard Lau, and this is the book is called The Last Child in the Woods, where he argues that all of us, especially children, are spending more time indoors. So more so during the COVID time, which makes us feel alienated from nature and perhaps more vulnerable to negative moods or reduced attention span. So I think this book was published much before that. So he coined this term called the nature deficit disorder. So which is that our disconnection with nature. So if we disconnect with nature, so we may go through a lot of issues. And George Monbiot, a very well-known columnist, he said that if children lose contact with the nature, they won't fight for it. With half of their life spent at a screen, the next generation will be poorly equipped to defend the natural world from harm. So I think that this is a more reason why we need to include the nature-based education or nature-based syllabuses to our undergraduate. I think I'll not go to the undergraduate right from the school. I think we need to introduce this kind of courses. And so I would like to end with this slide. He said, in the end, we will conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. So this is a famous quote by Baba Diyam in 1968. So with this, I would stop here. I'll stop here, and I'll be happy to take some question. But I would again give my sincere thanks to Professor Devajyoti Saikia sir for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Narayan. Thanks a lot for a very exciting and interesting and very relevant talk. So you can unmute yourself and ask questions. There's one question in the chat box from Tamal Sarkar, who asks, is there some effect of mobile tower on birds' lifespan and population?
I think there are a lot of these papers also on whether they are affecting the many birds. I think so far the evidences remains inconclusive. So at this moment, it's very difficult to say whether there are impact or no impact. So there are some studies that supported it, but there are some studies which said that they may not have any effect at all.
Birds are putting their nest on the towers. So
Yeah, miners and in fact, so So one of the bird that comes to Cotton University is a peregrine falcon, which is a migratory bird, and it nests in the top of the BSNL tower. And a very, very important bird, because the bird hunt the feral pigeons. So most of these places, the peregrine falcons are actually keeping some sort of check on the number of feral pigeons.
It's one of the fastest birds, actually, no? While
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there's another question which asks about the Yellowstone River. Can you throw some light on the Yellowstone River that had gone extinct because of killing of wolves and how it was revived?
So yeah, that's a very important question actually. So how all these are interlinked, you know? Most of the time, these are the ecological connections, right? So if one such connection is lost, there is a cascading effect. So this is exactly what happened in the Yellowstone National Park, and there are many such examples where, but we need to also uh, understand that there are certain things like in some part the relationship is very linear. So if the food chain is much more simpler, then it has a more impact. So, but if there is a food chain which is very complex, for example, most of the time people say that if tiger is not there, everything will go. The species below it will go. But there we forget that there are mesopredators also. For example, leopards or wild dog and all. So if the food chain is relatively simple, then definitely it has impact. Like it has a huge impact. And if the food chain is very complex, then I think we need to see that one. But definitely, that in Yellowstone National Park, because of the return of the wolf, the river also came back. Even a lot of the beavers, you know, like they were persecuted because in UK and other areas, because they build dam and submerge a lot of places. But they are the ecological engineers. Because of them, I think there are a lot of ecological changes that happen.
In Yellowstone, I mean, the introduction of the wolves actually put the deer population in check. Now, with the deer were
Yes,
eating up all the plants.
all the plants, yeah.
So once the
So
vegetation grew, the river also actually
yeah,
came in quite nicely. Yeah.
and similar thing happened in Andaman, no sir.
Yes.
So they introduce spotted deer, so
Yes.
which is not found there because
Sure.
some board English officers they said that we are not getting the chances to do hunt, so please introduce spotted deer. So there is deer was introduced there, then it became an invasive species. It became completely start browsing and eating the saplings. So there are no say new saplings or the seedlings there.
But Andaman is going to, is threatened by this port and the
Palm oil also, sir.
Palm, yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Comments. Sir,
Please.
actually, I just want to bring to your notice one thing. Incident happened in Kerala a few months back. It was regarding an elephant called Arikomban. So what happened was this elephant used to come to the villages and take rice. Ari means rice. But before that itself, what happened was his mother died in a place where people used to live. Means tea plantation. So
Okay.
every year this elephant used to come and sleep there for one day around that time. So later on, what happened was maybe someone might have given food or something like that, but it comes with a few elements or otherwise he will come alone, and it was a big problem in Kerala initially. Later on, they found that we have occupied their land, kind of thing, and it was become a big issue because and the people get polarized. So some people started supporting it and some was against it, and finally they tortured him and took away. Now we don't know where the elephant is. So Tamil Nadu government says that they have taken it and they have sent it somewhere, but we have no idea. And that issue is still there. Okay, I have just sent a Wikipedia link, and it
Okay.
was so horrible. And like is okay if maybe okay one of your friends or someone who is connected to this thing can make a study on this. It
Okay.
was it was very sensitive issue in Kerala, and
Acha.
it is going for a long time, sir.
Yeah. I
And
think,
it was
yeah.
I,
Absolutely.
have you heard about it? I
Yeah,
don't.
I heard about this. So the elephant actually, the problem in India is the Asiatic elephant is more endangered than the African counterpart. But a lot of the funding which is going for the conservation of the African elephant, but compared to
Oh,
this
that
one,
is not
yeah.
known. Actually, in Kerala, people like there is a sect of people who appreciate elephant, and they used to
Yes,
march.
they do, they do, yeah, they do,
Oh, but
and
it is. We didn't know that it is going to get extended or something like that. We didn't know. There was no
so.
government okay, has not given any kind of means okay notice or something like that regarding this.
Mhm. So in
It
some
seems
part
that
of
okay,
some,
we
yeah.
see the elephant and we think that okay, it is trivial everywhere elephant is there, but
I think elephants, the perception of people is generally is that elephant numbers are going up, but it's complete opposite. The number is actually coming down. But the problem is that the elephants are now the interactions with the humans is much more frequent than what it used to be earlier. So, and you have correctly said that because we have encroached many of these elephant corridors, right? And elephants are very, very the fidelity is very high, so they will use the same corridor year after year. And if we encroach those corridors, then definitely we will have this the interactions with the elephant much more frequently. And this happened not only in Kerala. I think there are places in Assam also, wherever there are elephant bearing areas. So we have actually encroached those corridors.
similarly this crane saras, this bird nowadays you can see everywhere. Earlier you could only find it in the field. Now today also morning okay, since it was raining in Chennai, I found some cranes coming. And so what about the population of this crane? Means that it's decreased or increased or what happened?
I don't have that data with me currently, but in Kerala, I think that that I showed about the water that Indian peafowl, they have actually increased. The most of the Kerala where this peafowl was not reported earlier, people have started finding this almost most of the areas in Kerala now. So the range expansion is happening of this
Correct,
bird.
correct. Regarding peacock, in my childhood, we could not
Ah,
find. Okay. When we go to Tamil Nadu, in certain areas, temple areas, you could only find. But now
okay, okay,
it's not. Yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah.
So Radhakrishnan, this report, State of India's Birds, is available in the web. So you could probably check it up
Yeah,
for any species you're interested
I
in.
can, I can.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have never thought about this kind of studies, but now after this discussion, I am interested.
Absolutely, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
It seems fine. Okay, thank you very much, Narayan, and thanks very
Thank you so
much
much,
to
sir.
all of you for a very valuable talk. Yeah, I'm sure most of us or all of us would have learned a lot about the issues of conservation and natural history and its importance in extending it to larger and larger communities of students, including a curriculum either as an elective paper or just enriching it even as a hobby. I think the story of this young lady whose life turned around by watching birds is something which is really inspiring. And I'm sure, there are many, many more such examples. And I think if you pick up watching nature as a hobby, I think all of us would benefit from it. So thank you, Narayan, for highlighting these issues and bringing it to us. And thank you, all of you, for participating in it. Thanks very much.